Revelation 4026. From the 19th and 20th of April 1947. Being of the light stars. Angel spirits. Childship to God. The fullness of the eternal deity's emanation of its strength of love into infinity cannot be assessed by a human being while he is still on earth, for he only knows the creations visible to him, which only make up a tiny particle of the total creation. God, however, sustains the whole of creation by giving it his strength of love. Innumerable works of creation are therefore bearers of his strength. Innumerable celestial bodies carry embodied beings whose life is secured by the influx of his strength. And to all these beings he reveals himself as creator and sustainer as soon as they have reached a certain degree of maturity which gives them the power of realization. They are mostly beings of high intelligence, not to be compared with the people of this earth, who are certainly on a lower level of development but can reach the highest possible goal, the childship to God, which is not possible to attain on other creations. Yet they are more advanced in realization than the people of this earth. They are guided by spiritual beings from the kingdom of light and placed in high knowledge. They also have the ability to utilize this knowledge and are spiritually exceedingly active because the concept of evenness is strongly developed in them and they regard every unevenness as a lack of maturity and lack of value of the creatures. And they try to compensate for this by transmitting knowledge which comes to them in such a way that they also recognize and acknowledge it as being of divine origin. Thus the beings are also God-connected, whom they acknowledge as the highest spirit from eternity, love and try to adapt themselves to his will. Their way of life is also in accordance with God's will insofar as it is not led in unkindness but always unites the beings with each other in brotherly love, who see their highest duty in handing out to those who do not possess what makes them happy. So they also stand in the light, so to speak. And yet they are beings who still have to mature, who still have to take the path to highest perfection, for what they possess was not acquired through their own activity of will but given to them as a preliminary stage to this free test of will, so they take a different course of development than the people of this earth, whose soul substances had to develop from the depths upwards through their former apostasy from God. There are also originally created spiritual beings which did not apostatize from God but have not yet tested their will insofar as all the stimuli of the adversary are presented to them by God and they are to resist them. Only then has a being taken the path to highest perfection when it has passed this test on earth. Innumerable creations exist. Innumerable degrees of maturity can be reached through life on these creations. Innumerable possibilities are opened up to spiritual beings, and all are schools of the spirit, yet different in their effectiveness and conditions. And God's will to shape has no limits, and his thoughts uninterruptedly become action, form, and his strength of love uninterruptedly animates these forms, which are only thoughts consolidated by his will. All beings of the light creations are happy, and yet the state of happiness is different and limited. Suffering, however, is only the soul's companion on earth and to a greater extent in the beyond realms where those souls dwell who did not pass their earthly life test, who failed in free will, whereas the beings of the heavenly bodies of light never seriously resisted God and therefore suffering is also kept away from them until they, too, take the path on earth to pass the test of will in order to attain the highest degree of perfection. God's love, light and power fill the whole of infinity, and incomprehensible to man are the many-sidedness of the creations, the life of the inhabitants and the possibilities of development which are offered to the spiritual to become unspeakably happy. The whole universe is filled with God's power. The visible and invisible world is the product of his will of love, It is created for the maturing of the still imperfect spiritual and for the upward development of that which has strayed into the depths and is to return to God. But the earth has a special destiny. It alone offers the embodied spirits the opportunity to attain childship to God, the highest degree of perfection, and therefore even the purest angelic spirits must take this path in order to become children of God, which requires passing a test of will which can only be taken on earth. But then the most blessed beings will dwell in God's presence who are perfect and can create and shape in free will, which is also God's will, using the strength from God, as was their original purpose. Amen.